Watching Thunderfoot's latest video, I must say that overall I have very little to complain about. I pretty much agree wholeheartedly with what he's got to say. And when it comes to supporting freedom of expression, there's absolutely no quibble there whatsoever. I also have to agree with other statements he's made in that video, where, for example, he states that something along the lines of that a particular belief system that leads to blindly accepting magical wave the hand in the air explanations for things you don't understand can be a clear impediment to going out and trying to understand the way the world works much better. Similarly, I have no quibble with the assertions that he's made that, for example, in the Muslim world there is definitely a very strong faction or a very vocal faction that has a clear problem with freedom of expression, and all you need to do to understand that this is definitely the case is see how, for example, that faction, how they reacted to the Danish cartoons and what the result of that was. So there's no quibble there, no disagreement with that at all. And that freedom of speech is something that we need to stand by and need to defend tooth and nail. Again, as you well know, is something that I wholeheartedly support. But there was one thing that left me with a little bit of a niggle, and that is this. In the beginning of the video he made a statement along these lines. Something like, if your faith causes you to fly planes into buildings, then that is something that we need to confront and that we need to address publicly in open discourse and so on and so forth. Again, no disagreement there, I totally agree with that. The only thing that I have a problem with is the assertion at the beginning that the faith leads to people flying planes into buildings. I would be very interested to see how that actually works. What sort of underlying physical mechanism explains how a faith leads to people flying planes into buildings? Because that to me is not entirely obvious. Believing in magical sky fairies or, magical explanations for where the world came from does in and of itself not compel me, if I were to believe such things, to commit atrocities. And I can't really see how it would compel somebody else to committing such atrocities. The other thing that isn't entirely clear is where those beliefs in turn come from. Where do those faiths that, according to Thunderfoot, lead to people flying planes into buildings, what causes those faiths? Surely he's not suggesting that they just sprang into existence out of nothing or were actually handed down to those people by a god. I wouldn't say so. So I think the simple assumption that a faith leads to atrocities has a hint of irrationality to it, in my book. Something doesn't quite add up here.